Today, I'll be replacing the Super G-Man in the Skibidi Zombieverse with the strongest Titans from other Skibidi toilet series. Yeah, let's find out how far these guys could go, or actually survive, in the zombie world if they were to replace the Super G-Man in the show. And since this is a completely different setting, guess you don't want to miss out on what changes each of these Titans might bring to the plot of the story? Alright, so let's start up with one of the strongest Titans in the Skibidi Wars, the Tri-Titan. Basically, he would be making his first appearance then in Episode 7, where he would have to face the likes of the infected Skibidi scientist and the infected Astro. And for now, let's just say in his second upgraded version, which seems to have more feat records than his base form. As for his unleashed and cosmic forms, they might be considered later in the video when things start getting crazy. So, does the 2.0 Tri-Titan stand any chance against these guys just like the Super G-Man? Well, since this version of the Tri-Titan comes with a handful list of the Trio Alliance Titans' major weapons, that's going to be a complete bully on the infected Skibidi scientist, and the only good he could do to himself would be to retreat as early as possible, just as it did happen in the original. And as for the infected Astro, nah, you already know he didn't even come close. Next, the Alliance would then receive the message of the incoming surveillance, but before they knew it, another set of infected mutants had already started making their way underground into this location, which would call for the arrival of the TV woman, who would still later make sure the POV and other members of the Alliance are teleported out as early as possible. Moving on to Episode 8, the replacement of the Super G-Man with the Tri-Titan wouldn't stop the fact that the base would be getting compromised anyway, and the infection of the Speaker Titan would still be plausible. However, the Tri-Titan would now be left to take on the infected Speaker Titan after his infection, not to kill, but immobilize, which, yeah, as you could guess, will be too easy, and might even prevent the Titan from breaching the defensive barrier that much earlier for the mutants to have access into the base before the Alliance members take their leave. After the evacuation, the Alliance headed towards the forest, where they eventually met with the Clock Race and later on had an encounter with the mutants. Just like the Super G-Man, this is another scene the Tri-Titan would be showing up for the Alliance. However, the first mutant is of no threat and could be taken care of within a minute. But that's not all, as the infected Speaker Titan and the infected Jackson Skibidi would soon join in the battle. And even though these two were one of the threats that almost ended the life of the Super G-Man back then, the reverse would completely be the case now, and as soon as the Jackson Skibidi is annihilated, the infected Speaker Titan would zoom off immediately, even before the arrival of the base drill Titan. Yeah, the Tri-Titan is a bigger Titan than what the Plague Doctor could go on using his telekinesis ability to weaken, so I don't think his appearance would be necessary any longer, and with all of this, it's safe to say the Alliance would then have to leave this location sooner than in the original. And also, since the Tri-Titan and the base drill Titan are still in good form to carry the Alliance, both the camera and the upgraded TV Titan would still be under the TV Man's custody. However, beside all of this, another major change the plot would face is concerning the creepy infected Speaker Man's base. Since the POV would no longer be a victim of the infected mutant, all the events from this episode to episode 22 then would no longer be added, and the Titans the Alliance would be working with for now would remain the Tri-Titan and the base drill Titan. Together, they'll move on to save the base 23 squads and afterward agree on summoning the infected Skibidi scientist for a one-on-one fight just as we have it in the original. And the truth is, the infected Skibidi scientist would still end up being completely destroyed, as retreating wouldn't be that easy to pull off, but remember that's like a minor damage to the latter, as his main body would still most likely remain untouched and escape after everything. Seeing this, the Plague Doctor would understand how less threatening and how easily he could be defeated if the Alliance should come for him, and this would make him think of upgrading the infected Skibidi scientist much earlier. However, with this little period of time, the creation of the Siren Titan would have been completed by the Alliance, and yeah, let's just say instead of going for the Drill Titan in other universe, the base Drill Titan is upgraded. With all of this, I mean the Alliance is already looking good for whatever might come, so there would be no more need for the Clock Titan, and all that the Alliance would be after for now would be to get the vaccine for the virus, defeat the Plague Doctor, and find the TV and camera Titan. But as soon as the infected Skibidi scientist is being fully upgraded and unleashed, the Speaker Marauders would be the first to spot him and send the message to the other Alliance members, and that would lead to the calling of the Tri-Titan, upgraded Drill Titan, and the Siren Titan. And with these three on the line, line, guess there's no way the infected skibidi scientist wouldn't be getting disinfected. But everything doesn't end there. The Plague Doctor would definitely still make his afterward appearance and surrender to the Alliance, as getting in the base is now the only way possible to know more and be aware of the Alliance's next move. And after successfully getting the necessary information he needed, he would still most likely have Plunger Man manipulated and escape with him, fully aware of what the Alliance is capable of now and how the TV and the camera titan is nowhere to be found in the base. This would make him call on the TV man, since he's secretly working for him as well, and have him questioned about the Titan's whereabouts. But the TV man would deny knowing anything about where the Titans are, knowing the Plague Doctor well enough, and how likely it is for him to find out about the Titan's location. That would make him locate the Alliance as soon as possible and lead them to where the Titans are being kept. But the Plague Doctor would soon learn about the TV man's betrayal and have him tortured by turning him into one of the infected mutants. However, due to this many changes, most of the series battles wouldn't have taken place, and since the infected Speaker Titan would have been the only Titan infected, the Plague Doctor would have as well be at the losing side completely at the end of the first act final battle. As we all know, the Super G-Man in the Monsterup series was undoubtedly one of the most important and also mastermind characters of the show. And right from his earlier introduction in the series down to his last moment, his immense contribution to the story and help to the Alliance had really been a great one, as without him it's safe to say a lot would have happened to the Alliance and Titans in the series at large. But have you ever wondered what would happen if this guy was replaced by the G-Man from the OG series? How far do you think he would be able to go in the zombieverse? And most importantly, how would that affect or change the plot of the story? Whereas, since the current version of the OG Jimmy would be too overkill to start off with, we'll begin everything with his 4.0 version. And as the threats get more serious, his remaining version would be considered as his only upgrade. Yeah, let's see how far he could really go on this one, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, in the first place, we would assume the 4.0 version G-Man from the OG series was the one who came to save the POV and the other Alliance members in Episode 7, meaning he would be facing off against the infected skibidi scientist and the Astro at a time. So how would this battle play out? Well, the truth is, Jimmy is more likely to have an easy win against these guys though, compared to the Super G-Man in the original, since the scientist's major weapon, being the boombox, would be completely useless against him because of his many upgrades. And again, his lasers in this form are no joke at all and could cause serious damage compared to the Super G-Man's own. So yeah, these are no threat to him, and the scientist would soon be seen teleport away. Seeing this, the Alliance would proceed to the next episode, but along the line, something happened. The Speaker Titan was introduced to the series, and not long after, the base got compromised, and as a result, he got infected. Realizing this, Jimmy would once again show up, and just as it did happen in the original, he would get the message not to kill the Titan, but to immobilize him, which, yeah, would be pretty much easy for him. And it is even possible that the Speaker Titan could be seriously held down this time around, that he wouldn't even have the chance to release blasters that would destroy the defense barrier and let the infected mutants in that much earlier, making the Alliance evacuate with ease and much time on their side. So let's just say the Alliance made their way out from the base successfully and afterward landed in the bush, where they later had an encounter with the clock race. Shortly, the Plague Doctor would trace them down here with his large number of infected mutants, just as we saw in the original story, attacking the agents one after the other, before the arrival of the Chief Clockman, who would still stop the large infected chainsaw skibidi in time for the moment. But the moment the mutant breaks out from the time stop and is ready to pounce on the remaining Alliance members, instead of seeing the Super G-Man, the OG Jimmy would straight up appear and immediately attack with a constant and massive release of lasers, ones powerful enough to leave the mutant completely in the dust. Okay, but it's not over yet, as the infected Speaker would soon be seen ramming into the G-Man unexpectedly, and before he knew it, the infected Jackson Skibidi had already joined in this battle as well, now making it a double threat at a time. But knowing well enough that Jimmy is a smart guy, he notices these guys are basically relying on their punches and physical strength. He immediately activates his shields to counter their attacks whatsoever, while on the offensive side, he releases electric orbs together with his lasers, leaving these guys completely open to attacks, and goes on to finish up the Jackson Skibidi, while the infected Speaker Titan immediately finds his way out from the location, which means even before the arrival of the base drill Titan and the Plague Doctor, it is most likely for him to have ended up with these guys, so the Alliance are meant to take their leave much earlier also, meaning the creepy infected Speaker Man base wouldn't be added to this scenario any longer, but as soon as the base drill Titan shows up, the mutant immediately attacks and gets him infected, whereas since the G-Man would still be in good shape to carry the Alliance for a while, both the camera and upgraded TV Titan would still remain under the custody of the TV Man, but the Knight would see this as a big risk to continue with, as they don't know what the Plague Doctor might be secretly working on, or maybe the Titans are already in his control and just waiting for the right moment to use them and attack the Alliance, so that would make him travel down to the other multiverse, as he did in the original, telling them he needed their help, now leading to the early introduction of the Clock Titan in the series. However, in episode 23, something happened. You see, after successfully clearing the minor threats in Base 23, the POV, together with the Super G-Man and the Camera Titan, agreed on and summoned the infected Skibidi scientist in order to have a personal fight with him and finish him up once and for all, which happened exactly the way they thought back then. But this time around, the reverse would be the case. The Clock Titan and the OG Jimmy would rather be handling this guy all alone, and based on their potentials, I mean, even that of the Clock Titan alone, the scientist would definitely be ended in a flash. With this great win on their side, they would then have enough time to plan well on getting the infected mutants and Titans healed, find the other Alliance Titans, being the camera and upgraded TV Titan, and additionally the creation of the Siren Titan. But seeing all of this, the Plague Doctor would then go back as well and make sure he had the infected Speaker Titan, Base Drill Titan, and the Scientist upgraded to the best. Yeah, I mean, remember that in the original, the infected Base Drill and the Speaker Titan were only the infected Titans that never got that crazy upgrade in the show, but now their upgrades would be so massive and surpass that of the original story. Okay, let's just say along the line, the Knight also had the Red Drill Titan and the Astro Duchess introduced to the universe, making the Alliance more of a bigger threat to the Plague Doctor now. But even all of this doesn't stop the fact that the Plague Doctor wouldn't be attacking the Alliance with the smaller and already infected Alliance agents until he's finally done with all of his infected Titans upgrades. And just the moment he unleashes the upgraded infected Skibidi scientist into the showback, the Alliance spotted him and sent the message of the scientist's comeback to the Titans, which later on, let's just say we get to see the OG Jimmy, Astro Duchess, the Clock Titan, and Plunger Man sent to handle the Skibidi scientist. And I want to believe you'll already know what the fate of the infected Skibidi scientist would be on this one, adding the fact that the upgraded camera and Super G-Man are being replaced this time around with much stronger candidates. So yeah, the Alliance is definitely succeeding on this one. Seeing they've finally disinfected the Skibidi scientist, the Plague Doctor would still actually get himself surrendered to the Alliance though, since his mission already is to get into the base and learn more about the Alliance's plans and progression. But after his arrest and detainment inside the base for a while, he would soon find out that the camera and upgraded TV Titan were not actually with the Alliance, and every other thing he needed to know about the vaccine and all that. So let's just say he had Plunger Man manipulated just as he did in the original the moment he had had enough of every information he needed and ran away, started his own plan twist and had the TV Man invited for questioning about the whereabouts of the Titans, but the TV Man claimed not to know anything about the Titans. However, this gets the TV Man worried, and knowing too well the Plague Doctor might soon get to learn about their whereabouts, he approached the Alliance and let them know the Titans are in his custody. So the Alliance went together with him and had the Titans brought to the base successfully, but the Plague Doctor would soon know about the TV Man's betrayal and had him turned into a zombie finally, whereas for the meantime now the Alliance would completely be at the top of the game. But there's still an issue somewhere, as the Drill Titan never wanted to be part of this universe, which was quite obvious in all his engagements with the Alliance, even in the original. So let's just say he decides to become rogue amongst the Alliance, and as soon as the Plague Doctor heard of this great news, he immediately approaches him, and as you'll already know the drills, yeah, it's pretty much easy to get into their heads. So let's just say the Plague Doctor successfully had the Red Drill Titan fooled along the line and had him under his control, on the verge of helping him out of this universe anytime soon. So basically, now the Alliance is at the loss of two amongst their important members, Plungerman as a betrayal, while the Red Drill Titan is being captured. The Plague Doctor proceeds to make his squads as strong as they could get, most especially the Red Drill Titan, amplifying his feat with the Green Corps. So with all of this, he would have thought he had arrived, and all ready to defeat the Alliance in a one-time battle. However, on the Alliance side, it's sad to say the upgrading of the Camera Titan might not be taking place before the final battle of the first act though. Yeah, seeing they don't have enough time left for his upgrade, so the Camera Camera Titan would remain in his base version still, but along the line, let's assume the Alliance gets to know about the truth with Plungerman, and altogether, they all went on for the final epic battle. The Plague Doctor jumps in with his army of infected mutants and Titans, like the likes of the infected upgraded Speaker Titan, upgraded base Drill Titan, and the Red Drill Titan, while on the Alliance's side we have the OG Jimmy 4.0 version, Base Clock Titan, upgraded TV Titan, Base Camera Titan, Siren Titan, and the Astro Duchess, with the rest of the Alliance members and agents. Remember, the Alliance already had enough to work with, so no need for the introduction of the Tri-Titan. The only downside they have was that most of their Titans are still in their base forms, so with all of this, who do you think will win this one? The Alliance or the Plague Doctor? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. But what's more important right now is that Defuk Boom's Gman is more likely to remain and carry the Alliance well enough without any fatal casualties amongst them until the very end of the first act. Actually, though, did you ever wonder what would happen if the Clock Titan from Dom series replaced the Super G-Man in the Zombieverse? How safe do you think the Alliance would be on this one? And most importantly, what changes would that bring to the plot of the story? Well, to make things a bit easier for the threats in the series, we would be starting off with the base version of the Clock Titan, and as the threats get more intense, his upgraded version might be considered. So basically, the Clock Titan would be making his first appearance in Episode 7, where he would have to fight against the infected Skibidi scientist and the infected Astro to save the Alliance members. Although back in the series, dealing with these guys, especially the infected Skibidi scientist, was one thing that seemed like a big challenge for the Super G-Man. But on this one, I would just say it's gonna go in a more different and easier way. Yeah, as the Clock Titan could go on stopping them in time and afterward use the Chrono Destruction, or maybe other time-related abilities. But nah, it wouldn't be much fun if we get to lose the Skibidi scientist at the very start of everything, so let's just say the Clock Titan unleashes his mind control ability on the infected Skibidi scientist to attack the infected Astro, and after that, go on to bully him a little before the infected Skibidi scientist would get to teleport away, now seeing that the threats are cleared, and upon receiving the message that the surveillance is underway. Next thing is to leave this location just as it did happen in the original, and as soon as they get to do that, they'll notice the large numbers of infected mutants coming out to attack them, but before these guys would come out from the ground, the TV woman would have come to their rescue. However, another major event in the base that would remain in this scenario was when it got compromised, leading to the infection of the Speaker Titan and many other members of the Alliance. Moving on to the next episode, instead of seeing the Super G-Man coming to the rescue of the POV when attacked by the infected Speaker Titan, now it would rather be the Clock Titan, and I guess you'll know what that means, right? Yeah, there would be no more need to get the Titan immobilized when he could just be healed at once. So let's just say the Clock Titan went on to battle and finally get the infected Speaker Titan recovered, and by doing so, the defense barrier wouldn't be breached that much earlier any longer, giving the Alliance more time to evacuate from the base. Whereas after their escape in Episode 9, the Alliance ended up finding themselves in the forest where they later had an encounter with the Clockmen, before the appearance of the giant infected mutant and the rest, which were all taken care of by the Super G-Man back then. But this time around, not only is the Clock Titan going to replace the Super G-Man, but as well have the Speaker Titan by his side. So yeah, they're clearing these threats with ease. But that's not all, as we still have the infected Jackson Skibidi on his way. Remember, the Speaker Titan had already been healed. So yeah, there's only little to what the mutant could pull off on his own before he easily gets defeated. And seeing this, it's more likely the Plague Doctor wouldn't be making any appearance in this scene anymore, unlike in the original. And as soon as the Base Drill Titan showed up, the Alliance were meant to take their leave instantly, meaning the infection of the Base Drill Titan and the creepy infected Speaker Man base would not be plausible in this scenario any longer. Aside from this, it's also safe to say all the events from this episode to episode 22 would all be suspended as well. So automatically the TV and Camera Titan would still be under the custody of the TV Man. Yeah, and believe me when I say this is just the least of the many great changes the replacement of the Super G-Man with the Clock Titan in the series is gonna bring, actually. However, after the Alliance, together with the Clock and Speaker Titan, had successfully saved the base 23 squads in episode 23, they would proceed with their next mission and summon the infected Skibidi scientist for a one-on-one fight with him, which, yeah, wouldn't be funny at all, as his killing might be more dramatic this time around compared to the original, but that wouldn't stop his main body from finding its way out as soon as his puppet is destroyed. Seeing this, the Plague Doctor would start feeling completely less threatening and outsmarted. I mean, not only is the Alliance somewhat in a good form to counter any of his threats, but they also have the Clock Titan, who could instantly heal any of their important members that might be getting infected. So yeah, his main goal now would be to find any means possible and have the Clock Titan either defeated or be under his control. But as for the Alliance, since the Speaker Titan is still healthy and not infected, there would be no more need to create the Siren Titan. And yeah, the introduction of the Clock Titan wouldn't be necessary again as well. All they would be after now would be to find the TV and the Camera Titan, upgrade the Titans, and also look for ways they can get the Plague Doctor defeated and the cure for the disease. While all of this, together with some minor attacks on the Alliance, would be going on, the upgrading of the Speaker and Base Drill Titan by the Alliance, as well as that of the infected Skibidi scientist by the Plague Doctor, would have been completed. And as soon as the infected Skibidi scientist is unleashed and spotted by the Alliance agents, this would lead to the calling of the Clock Titan, upgraded Speaker, and Drill Titan to handle him. Imagine the Speaker Titan being so strong now, like that of the OG series, and again, the Drill Titan isn't left behind on this one. With these three on the line, honestly, the disinfection of the infected Skibidi scientist would really be faster than ever. I mean, this is someone the Clock Titan could just stop in time while the vaccine is being shot at him. And as for the Plague Doctor, it's plausible to still have him appearing here after everything and getting arrested by the Alliance. Yeah, remember, he's got a lot to find out in the Alliance base. And finally, he'll soon get to know about everything he needed, and as well find out the TV and Camera Titan aren't with the Alliance, before he has Plungerman manipulated and escapes with him, just as it did happen in the original. However, this would make him invite the TV man for questioning on the missing Alliance Titans, since he's also working for him, but the TV man would deny knowing anything about it. Knowing how tricky the Plague Doctor works, and how likely he is to know where the Titans are anytime soon, the TV man would find any means possible to locate the Alliance and take them down to where the Titans are being kept. But unfortunately, the Plague Doctor would soon learn about this and have the TV man tortured by turning him into one of the infected mutants, finally. And since the Clock Titan has really changed a lot in the series, most of the epic battles would not be added in this scenario any longer. But in general, if there be any reason for the first act final battle, well, it's actually safe to say the Plague Doctor would have been on the losing side completely, as it would have just been only him and the infected mutants, since none of the Titans would have been infected, and there wouldn't have been any need for the Astro Duchess and the Tri-Titan in the series as well. So yeah, if Dom's Clock Titan ever replaced the Super G-Man in the series, the Alliance's safety is fully guaranteed like never before. However, check out this video to know the most loved and hated Titans across the Skibidi fandom. See ya.